Since I posted my last video, I've been literally inundated with requests from you guys. Tutorials that you want to see, songs that you want to see me cover and things. The video that I'm doing today is going to be one that I've been meaning to do myself for quite some time, but I will get on to the requests and things in the coming weeks. And the video that I want to do is something that people have asked me for in the comments section of virtually all my videos, and it is about the equipment that I use. So I'm going to be going over my pedal board, and it's a Boss pedal board full of Boss pedals, so it should be quite straightforward to go through, and I'll try and explain what each of them does for anybody that doesn't understand what they do. But yeah, I'm going to get straight in with the Chromatic Tuner that's at the right hand side here. It's pretty self-explanatory. What it is it's a guitar tuner, and I've often sort of thought to myself, is it a bit of a waste of that slot in the pedal board? And maybe, but I've got nothing else to put there at the moment, so I thought it's better to have it full with a tuner. It's a very useful thing to have, obviously, so I have that in there. The next pedal along is the Super Octave pedal, the OC-3, and that's, again, quite self-explanatory. It drops every note that I play by an octave, so if I have a little bass riff that goes... For example, if I click that pedal on, it sounds like this. So you can hear the difference. It adds that bottom end in. Any sort of long-term subscribers to my channel will have seen that pedal used in a few videos. And I love it. It sounds absolutely awesome live, especially with 15-inch speakers that really drive that bottom end. It sounds awesome with the loop station. Which brings me on to the next pedal. It's my RC30 loop station. I'm actually going to skip over that right now and move on to the other ones because I want to do a bit of a sort of review on that pedal in this video as well. So the next pedal along is my GE7 Graphic Equalizer. That actually used to be my dad's pedal. I stole it from him, and because he didn't really use it. He probably did use it actually. I just nicked it one day and he never got it back. So sorry about that. But it's mine now. The next pedal along, oh, the equalizer pedal, by the way, if somebody doesn't know what that does, it allows you to sculpt the sound a little bit more by altering the levels of different frequencies. So a bit like your hi-fi system has bass, middle and treble. The treble is the really high-end tinny sort of sound. The bass is obviously the low-end sort of thuds and things, and the bass guitar, and obviously the mids are things in between. Graphic Equalizer is a little bit limited in a way because the sort of frequencies that you can change are predefined by the pedal manufacturer. There is such a thing as a parametric EQ, which allows you to select the actual frequency that you want to pull down, and they're a lot more sort of customizable as to what you can do with them. But these are a lot easier to use, and that one just happened to be sat there in my dad's pedal board, so I use that one. Moving on to the digital reverb pedal, it's the RV5 that I'm using. Again, self-explanatory, it's a reverb pedal, it adds reverb. A little story about why I bought that pedal is that I played at a music festival a couple of years ago in the UK, and when I turned up, the PA system that I was going through in the sort of acoustic tent that I was playing in didn't have any reverb built in at all, so I had to play the entire set completely dry vocals, dry guitar, not my sound at all. So I sort of made the conscious decision to have a pedal board that I could take to every gig with me that has my guitar sound built into it. Obviously, I don't really need to have the reverb pedal when I play with my own equipment, but I do prefer the sound of this pedal to the built-in one that's on my desk anyway, so it made sense to build that into the board as well. And all of that's encased in the Boss BCB60, which is the board with the plug sockets over there, the jack sockets and things, and it's powered by the Boss adapter as well. So yeah, it's a decent board, not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but it does the job. It has a lid that closes, that's why there's a handle at the top there, has a lid that closes and clips together, so it's handy. It means I don't have to set the board up at every gig. Personally, I would prefer if the equalizer and the reverb pedals were up here and the board was shorter, because the EQ and the reverb pedals are always on. I never turn them off at all. So I never need access to them. And when I went over to Norway in February for my gigs that I had over there, I found that this board only just doesn't fit in a hand luggage bag. So I had to take all the pedals out of the board, leave the board at home, and then set all the pedals up at the venue on the floor with patch cables, which was a pain in the arse, I've got to be honest with you. So yeah, maybe in the future I might have a go at a custom build, but at the moment I've only had to fly twice to play in the 20 years that I've been playing the guitar. I've figured it out that this year is the 20th year that I've been playing the guitar. So there's some sort of, I don't know, information for you if you want to know anything about that. So moving back onto the RC30, I think it's a great loop station. It is, however, the only one that I've used, so I've got no room for comparison whatsoever. Apart from maybe certain features of the RC300, because they work very similarly to this. I've never used an RC300, but I've sort of read reviews and seen other people's videos on them. But this pedal, it's got its limitations, but with it being so compact, that's the reason that I went for this over the RC300. The price was a factor, obviously, but I mean, the RC300 is definitely worth the extra money if that's what you need, if you need that one. I do know people that own RC300s that don't even use half the features that the RC30 has. That's a bit silly, in my opinion, but this one, yeah, I chose it purely because it's compact and I can take it to gigs easily. So I'm going to go over the features of this pedal, starting on the left-hand side. We've got Loop FX, we've got Bend Down, Step Phaser, Sweep Filter, Tempo Delay, and Lo-Fi. I don't use any of these, just because I've never found a use for them. Potentially the Sweep Filter could sort of give you like a Tom Morello sort of lo-fi sort of sound for certain sections of song, but with an acoustic guitar, nah. Personally, I would have preferred that they'd put a tuner in this pedal than those effects, because I just think they're useless, to be honest. Some people probably use them, so there's obviously a reason that they're there, but for my needs, I would have left them off. I would have also left off the rhythm section here, which is sort of built-in beats that are already included. I'm not a fan of backing tracks, and to me, this rhythm thing is borderline backing track, so I don't use that either. The memory feature, yeah, it's handy. Again, I don't use it. I don't bank sounds and I don't bank sort of loops and then bring them into a song. Everything that I do with this pedal is live, so there are certain features of this pedal that I've never even looked into. If you need to know how to use those, I'm sure there's other reviews by people that have used them. But yeah, the mic level is something that I use. A bit of beef that I've got with this pedal is that it's so sensitive, and that level that it's at now on a quarter is the highest that I ever take it. Any higher than that, if you turn that up to half and tried to play at the level that you need the guitar, the mic would just feed back. It's so loud. I don't know why that is really, but I'm sure there's a reason for that as well. Maybe it's for phantom powered mics, although there is a phantom switch on the back of the pedal, so I'm guessing it's not that either. The next bit, the only bit that I've not gone over is this section here where the sliders are. There are the two tracks that you get with this pedal. Its predecessor, the RC20, didn't have two channels, so it didn't have those sliders on it. You can change the track that you're on using these buttons. You can see that that's changed over. You can also do the same thing by pressing and holding the stop button for 2 seconds, and that flicks over. Yeah, subscribers of mine that have watched other videos will have seen me use that, and they'll have seen me explain that as well in other tutorials. There is a press and hold feature on the play and record button as well. That's undo and redo. Again, in my shape of you tutorial, I explain how to do that as well. So yeah, that's all the features that are at the top there. On the back we have the microphone input, which you can see is at a little bit of an angle there. and that's because the slot for the cable in the board is slightly offset as to where that port is in the pedal, which, considering that Boss make the pedal and the board, I don't really understand why that's offset like that. Maybe the board predates the pedal, I don't know. But so I had to bend it a little bit. I don't know if that's damaging the pedal at all, but I need it to go in there. I need it to fit in the board. So it's a bit annoying that I can't unplug that cable ever. I sort of could, I suppose, but it's a bit awkward. So also on the back, we've got two inputs for left and right. It's a stereo pedal, so we've got left and right in, left and right out. And we've got an input for an external foot switch. I think it's the FS5U by Boss. I think that's what it's called. And that allows you to access additional features such as changing the track. The press and hold of the stop button can be done with the external pedal. I don't have one of these external pedals. The only reason that I would buy one of those would be if Boss made a firmware update that allowed me to use that pedal as a start, stop, all button, because in my opinion, for my use of this pedal, that's the only thing that's missing, and that would make this the perfect loop station. So again, I've said this in other videos, but if anyone from Boss is watching, add that as a firmware update and I'll buy another pedal off you, however much they are. I don't know how much they go for. But yeah, that's pretty much all the features that are there. This pedal will record for 3 hours solid. So, I mean, you'd never ever use that many loops to go for 3 hours. You just never use it. So there's no limitations where sort of recording time is concerned. Before I do a little bit of a play around with it, I'm going to just explain where my where my guitar outputs go to, because if anybody's watched my installing a guitar end pin jack, you'll know that I have two inputs in my guitar. One of them is the built-in pickup under the bridge, and the other one's my sound hole pickup that I fitted myself. And pretty much I use the built-in pickup purely for the bass drum sound when I'm looping, which is that sound. It sounds great with this pickup. Without that, it sounds a little bit so I like to use them both pretty much because of that. And this handles most of the rest of everything, really, because you can get some nice sounds. I particularly like the way that this pickup picks up the knocks and taps of the body, so you can get like a sound for percussion things or whatever. You can add them to the loop, which sounds quite cool as well. But yeah, the signal from the sound hole pickup, it's an LR Baggs M1 Active for anybody that's wondering. That signal goes through each of these pedals, so it goes through the Chromatic Tuner, through the Octave, through the loop, the left hand channel of the loop, into the EQ, into the input A of the reverb, out of output A into output A of the pedal board itself. The built-in pickup under the bridge goes straight into here, and it skips these first two pedals, goes into the right input of the loop station, and then it goes out of the right output of the loop station, skips the EQ, and goes into the reverb. So it literally goes through the loop station and the digital reverb pedal, and that is it. So yeah, that's pretty much all for the explanation of how everything works. Next, what I want to do is just do a little bit of a trial run thing. Something that I've actually found out, something that I've noticed when I was looking at other reviews of this pedal, particularly before I bought this pedal, was that a lot of people say that it has a delay on it when you click the pedal, so it's impossible to get the loop in time. That's actually rubbish. The reason that there's a delay is because the pedal's activated when you lift your foot off the pedal, not when you press down on it. That's obviously because of these features that you need to press and hold for. The predecessor, the RC20 by Boss, worked when you press the button down, which obviously made it feel different to use. You can actually set this pedal to behave like the RC20, but obviously then you lose that second channel because you can't switch over to it by pressing and holding, which is a little bit limiting. So just bear with me 1 second. I've just noticed that camera there is running out of battery and I don't want it to turn off. sorry about that, ladies and gents. I just had to power that up because otherwise I would have had to start the video again and that would have been disastrous. But yeah, that's pretty much, I think, everything explained about this board. Ask me in the comments if there's anything that I've missed. I've not scripted this at all, so I don't really know what I'm doing. That was one thing that I did want to go over, is another feature of the loop station. You can press the stop button twice really quickly in succession, and that stops both of the tracks. So I was saying about the start, stop, all thing that was missing. You can press the stop button twice quickly and it does stop all, but then start all is a bit of a pain because you have to select both tracks simultaneously, which is done by pressing and holding for 2 seconds, then lifting, then pressing and holding for 2 seconds again, which in most occasions I don't have time to do that, to start both at the same time. So it's a little bit of a useless feature, but I suppose it's useful for somebody. The most useful thing about being able to select both tracks at the same time is being able to clear them both in between songs, so I don't have to clear one and then clear the other. But anyway, I'm going to just do a little bit of a demo thing about what you can do. I'm going to have to put my headphones on because I can't hear what the loop station's doing otherwise. There's also a little bit of a delay because this is going through the computer, so hopefully I'll be able to do it in time. But yeah, that riff that I was doing earlier, so we've got that sort of going along like that. I'll demonstrate the octave pedal with the loop station in a second, but first I want to add a bit of a beat to that, but I'm going to do that on channel 2, so I can press and hold and that flicks over to channel 2. So as I said before, I can add stuff onto channel 2 so that I can drop just that channel out and keep the bass line going. So I'll do that like this. So that's like a snare drum sounding effect. That sound that I used before, added to that, sounds like that. I quite like that sound for certain things, and then you can add that bass drum sound that I demonstrated. So see what I mean? It's already starting to build up. So we can go back over to the first channel now and add a bass line with the octave pedal, like this. Again, sounds quite effective. I don't know if you can hear me now. I'll drop the sound of that a little bit if it's too loud on the computer afterwards. But so what I can actually do now is go over to channel 2 again and drop that out, so you're left with just the riff, which is handy for certain sections of a song. I'll just stop both of those a second while I explain that. I don't really need to play anything else. It's kind of everything explained. I don't know if you saw what I did there. If you've got things going on, to clear the tracks, you can just press the stop button, hold it down and press the play button, and that clears it, just for anyone that's wondering that. And I've completely lost my train of thought. What was I going to say? I can't remember. I think that's pretty much everything that I needed to go over in this video. If anybody's got any questions about my equipment that I'm using, just get me. You can get me on Twitter at Tweed Nelson, or you can just use the comments below the video in YouTube. Anybody else that was wondering about more of my gear, I probably will do a bit of a walk around when I've got my shelving up. I'll be doing that later today, getting a bit of a more permanent setup so that I can do videos more regularly, because at the moment I'm having to set everything up every time I do a video, which is why I've been a bit sort of lazy with it. But recording this, I'm using Cakewalk Sonar X3 on my PC. When I'm using my Mac, I've got Logic on there, which I don't really use it very often for recording purposes. Video editing occasionally, yeah. And I'm using a Line 6 Tone Port UX8 as my interface as well, for anyone that's wondering that. So that's pretty much all for this video. If you haven't already, please subscribe. It does help when people subscribe. It allows me to keep doing this. And yeah, it's fun to do anyway, so it's good to hear that people seem to be enjoying my videos for the most part anyway. So Thanks for watching. Take care. You can follow me on Twitter, as I said before. I've already done that, haven't I? Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter. I'm rambling again. Thanks for watching. Take care, and I'll see you next time with more content. Bye-bye.